Okay, in this video what we're going to do is we're going to add what's called a mouse motion listener. So this works just like all the other listeners that we've put into our program, and we're going to implement it in a very similar fashion. The only difference is we need to use something called the mouse motion interface. And so I already have that interface popped up here. There's the mouse motion interface, or called the mouse motion listener. And like we said, since it's an interface and we implement it, we need all the methods associated with it regardless if we use it or not. So I'm going to copy that, and now I'm going to jump back into my code here, and I'm going to go right below and I'm going to make another private class inside this class, and I'm going to call this mouse motion event, or sorry, listener. And it's going to implement mouse motion listener. So if I can paste this in now, and we're just going to make sure this is right. So public void. So the first one, the mouse dragged, is invoked as we drag the mouse. So as the mouse gets dragged around the screen, this method continually gets called. The other one, mouse moved, continually gets called. So again, you can get the information about what each of these do. Oh, we have to add the import statements for everything. I think we'll need one for up there as well. And again, those import statements come in up here. So now we've added the mouse event and the mouse motion listener. So mouse dragged invoked when a mouse button is pressed on a component and then dragged. Mouse moved is invoked when the mouse cursor has been moved onto a component but no buttons have been pushed. So in our case, what we want to do is we want to write our code inside the mouse move section. And again, with other listeners, an event is passed, and that event is, in this case, is called a mouse event, and that contains all the information about what the computer is doing. So if we go, for example, system.out.println, and we print out e.get, and we have all these different things. We can get x, and then I go system.out.println, e.get y. What that will do is it will get the x component of the mouse pointer and print it to the console, and then e.get y will get the y component and print it to the console. So just like with the other interfaces, let's just take a second and build and make sure everything's built so far. Oh, good. Just like the other listeners, we now have to come up here and we have to implement that listener. So we need to make a mouse, I believe we called it an M motion listener. And I'm going to call it mouse listen equals a new M motion listener. So this is the instance of the mouse motion listener. And then I have to add, and it turns out they're signed in this for it, add a mouse motion listener. And then I'm going to add this, and I need to add the specific instance I've made called mouse listen. So now if I build this, we should successfully build it. And if I run my game now, what you'll notice in the console in the bottom left hand corner is as I move that mouse around, it's printing out the XY position of that mouse. So in the next video I'm going to show you how we can do something interesting with that, now that we can find that XY position. I hope that helped.